21. In a scatter plot of this data where renewable energy consumption in the year 2000 is plotted along the x-axis and renewable energy consumption in the year 2010 is plotted along the y-axis for each of the given energy sources, how many data points would be above the line y equals to x? So it's asking if it's above y equals to x, that means y is greater than x. So the y was the year in 2010. So whenever it is greater, right? This one, that one, less than. This is less than the dark gray. So here's greater and less than. So there are 3 types of sources. So 3. 22. Of the following, which best approximates the % decrease in the consumption of wood power in United States from 2000 to 2010? So here's the wood. So it was at 2.25. Oh, 2.25. And decreased to 2.00. So it decreased by 0.25. But to get the percentage, you have to look at the original amount, which is 2.25. So just get the percentage of that 0.25 divided by 2.25 will be around 10, 11. Yeah. So it is 11%. 23. The table below gives the distribution of high temperatures in degrees in Fahrenheit for city A and city B over the same 21 days in March. Okay. So which of the following is true about the data shown for these 21 days? So as you can see here, it's talking about the standard deviation. So what is standard deviation? It's a measure of how far the data set values are from the mean, from the average. So let's see. So when you look at city A, there most of the frequency is at temperature 279, so most likely this will be close to the average. And as you can see, except these two, the rest of most of the values are closely attached to close to the temperature 79, which is the average. So it has a small standard deviation. What about here? There are 6 at the end, so probably the average will be right in the middle. And as you can see, there's wide spread out compared to the first one. So A, the standard deviation of temperature in A is larger. No, A, it has a smaller standard deviation. The standard deviation of temperature in B was larger. As you can see, it was more spread out. So it is B. C, the standard deviation of temperature in A is the same. No. And you cannot calculate with the data provided. That's not true. It is B. 24. In the circle above, segment AB is the diameter. Okay. If the length of arc ADB, so goes around D, because D is in the middle, is 8 pi. So that's half of the circle because this is a diameter. That means this is 180. So it's a question, what is the length of the radius of a circle? So what's the radius of a circle? So as you can see, the whole circle is the circumference, which is 2 pi r. And here, a pi was half of the circumference. So it was just pi r, right? Half of the circumference, so it is pi r. So we know r is, when you divide by pi and pi, r is 8. So it is C, 8. 25. The polynomials f of x and g of x are defined above. Which of the following polynomial is divided by 2x plus 3? So they ask a lot of questions asking, would it be a remainder or factor? So if you can come up with this factor in a polynomial, then you can, there will be a polynomial that is divisible by this, but here you're adding it. So I guess you just gotta quickly go ahead and check a few things here. Let's go ahead and add f x and g of x. F of x is, so when you add these two, you get 2x cubed plus 7x squared plus 7x plus 2, right? Here's 1x squared plus 6, 3x plus 4 is 7x. So now, would this be divisible by 2x plus 3? Oh, what you can do is look at the last term. Would 3 ever go into 2? No. So no, right? It won't be divisible. What about f plus 3g? So let's just look at the last number. So f, it doesn't have any constant. Now 3 times g is 6. So if 3 is divisible by 6 is divisible by 3, so there is a chance for b, but let's double check for the other one. What about 3g again? Oh, that's 3g. So it's 6 again. So either these two or 3f, 0. 2g is 4. So these two we know won't be divisible, but these two, b and c, we have to check. Let's do b first. So b is f plus 3g, so I get 3x squared plus 9x plus 6 when you multiply the whole thing by 3. So then I get, when you add it, 2x cubed plus 6x squared and 3x squared, so please 9x squared plus 9x plus 4x, which is 13x plus 6. Let's divide it by 2x plus 3. So I can multiply by x squared. You have to look at the leading term. What do you have to multiply by to get to x cubed? So when you multiply by x squared, I get 2x cubed plus 3x squared. From there, you subtract, because our goal is to get rid of the first term. So when you subtract, you get 6x squared, and you just carry the next number down. 6x squared, so you add with 3x, so 6x squared plus 9x. So when you subtract, you get 4x plus 6. Yes, so now you can multiply by 2, so 4x plus 6. So there's no remainder, so B will be your answer. C, if you have time, you can double check by doing it, but I'm sure it will not be divisible. 26, let x and y be numbers such that negative y is less than x less than b, less than y. Which of the following must be true? Okay, here the easiest way is to just guess and check. So let me just have x equal to 1, y equal to 2, and negative y can be negative 2, which is true, right? What else can we use? We can try 0, but it doesn't work, right? 0 negative is less than 1. So let's stick with this for now. So x is 1 and y is 2. So absolute value of 1 is less than 2. Yes, if you just look at this, it must be true. So yes, x is greater than 1. Can it be negative 1? Let's see. If x is negative 1, you can have, let's see, 3, and you can have negative 3, which is true. So x can be negative, but here actually asking if x can be positive. Yes, x could be positive, yes. And y must be positive, yes, because the other side must be negative. So it is all true. D. 27, the relative housing cost for U.S. city is defined to be the ratio of average housing costs for the city divided by national average housing cost is expressed in percentage. So the scatter plot above shows the relative housing costs and the population density for several large U.S. cities in the year of 2005. The line of best fit is also shown and has equation of y equals to 0.0125x plus 61. So this is 61 here, and that's the rate of change. So which following best describe the number 61 in the equation related to the scatter plot? So 61 is the relative housing cost, and the X was the housing, national average housing cost. So in 2005, so it's how much you start for the relative housing cost, you add 61, right? So the lowest housing cost in the United States was about 61 per month. No. The lowest housing cost for United States was about 61% of the highest. No, that doesn't make sense. Even in cities with low population density, housing costs were never below 61. Oh, never. No, not always, but it is the lowest point. So likely at least 61 of the national average. Yeah, least, right? That's a scatter plot, you know, that's the best fit. So likely at least 61. It can be below 61, so it is D. Which of the following is an equivalent form of the function f above in which minimum value of x appears in the constant or coefficient? So if you want to find the minimum value, or they can sometimes call it vertex, you have to put it in a vertex form. So it has to be in one of these two forms, right? Vertex form. So this means your minimum is 1, negative 21. And this means your vertex is negative 1, negative 25. So what can we do? Let's quickly plug into the calculator, since this is the calculator section. So you go to window, your mode should be already in function. So the first equation I have, there's one equation, x plus 6 and x minus 4. So zoom 6, standard. Oh, we're interested in negative, so go to, so it's like down negative 25. So I'll put y min negative 30. So what is it? Is it at 1 or negative 1? It has to be at 1, so it has to be that. But you can double check by using your table. Second graph will go to the table, and as you can see, negative 1, it's 25. 1 at 21, but that's not the minimum. The lowest point is the minimum, so it is D. 29. If x is the average of m and 9, y is the average is 2m and 15. So let me write it. X is the average of m and 9, so you add them and divide by 2. Y is the average of 2m plus 15. Right, you add them first and divide by number of the terms. There are 2. And z is the average of 3m plus 18. 3m and 18. Which of the average of x, y, and z in terms of m? So now we are looking for the average of these. So that means what? We add them all and then divide by 1, 2, 3, 3. So, and they have a same denominator, so that's nice. So I divide by 2, right? It's common denominator. So m plus 9 plus 2m plus 15 plus 3m plus 18. So here 18. So I get m plus 2m plus 3m is 6m plus 9 plus 15 is 24. Plus 18 is 42. Divide by 2, so you get 3m plus 21 is your answer. Oh, wait a minute. But I forgot to divide by 3, right? That's just the sum, so you have to divide by 3. So you divide that by 3, which is m plus 7, right? Make sure you understand what you're doing. It's finding average of these 3. So you add them all and then divide by 3. So it is B. On SAT, you don't necessarily lose point because you don't know how to do the question. A lot of times it's just a little thing that you forgot to do. So the function f of x is that, and it's graphed. So k is the constant such that the equation f of x equals to k when y is to k have three real solutions. Which of the following should be the value of k? So meaning at that y, it will go through the graph 3 times like this, right? 1, 2, 3. So can it be 2? It's one solution. At 0, one solution. -2, one solution. -3, three solutions. So it is D. Right? It has to go through three solutions. 31. A partially filled pool contains 600 gallons of water. A hose is turned on and water flows into the pool at the rate of 8 gallons per minute. So 8 gallons per minute is the rate. How many gallons of water will be in the pool after 70 minutes? So there were a total of 600. Your flat term or what you start with, and you add 8 gallons per minute, and it's asking for 70 minutes after. So you get 600 plus 560 is 1160 gallons. You don't put units on the free response. The normal systolic blood pressure P in millimeters of mercury for an adult male X years old can be modeled by the equation. According to the model, for every increase of 1 year in age, by how many milliliters of mercury will be normally adult male increase? So it's asking for a slope. So what's the slope here? If you rewrite this in mx plus b, this is 1/2 x plus, right? 1 over 2. 220 over 2 is 110. So this is the y-intercept, and this is your slope. So you will say 1/2 or 0.5. Looking for the slope. 33. The pass, a Roman measure of length, is approximately equal to 11.65 inches. So 1 pass equals to 11.65 inches. It is also equivalent to 16 smaller, so 1 pass is also equal to 16 smaller Roman units called digits. Based on these relationships, 75 Roman digits is equivalent to how many feet? So if you're starting from 75 digits, always write the units when you're converting it. And there were 16 digits. I put digits in denominator so I can get rid of the unit. And that was equal to 1 pass. And 1 pass was equal to 11.65 inches, right? So, but I am trying to find in foot, so I have to get rid of inches. There are 12 inches in 1 foot, so this is all you need to do, right? So now when you get rid of the inches, it's in foot. So you start from 75. 75 times, divided by 16 times now 11.65 divided by 12. 4.55. You round your answer to nearest 100, so 2 decimal, 4.55. Feet in 1 digit. Yeah. So you will do a lot of these converting units in chemistry. I hope you remember converting the units. 34. In a study of bat migration habits, 240 male bats and 160 female bats have been tagged. All right. So if 100 more female bats are tagged, how many more males bats must be tagged so that 3/5 of the total number of the bat in the study are male? So how many females are there? Total, there are total, what? We already tagged how many? 400? But but the female, 100 more females are tagged, so now 500 is tagged, right? So now it's asking how much more male do we need to we need to tag to make this equal to 3/5. So the total number of male bats will be what? There were 240, so it's 240 plus x, right? That's how much male, and this is how much total we have. So what would you do? You can cross multiply to solve these. So I get 3 times 500 plus x equals to 5 times 240 plus x. So I get 1500 plus 3x. Column mistake is that you don't distribute 3 to the second term. You only do that to the first term. Make sure you do it to every term in the parentheses. So 5 times 240 is 1200 plus 5x. So move smaller x to keep the x's positive. So then I'll move 1200. So I get 2x equals to 300. So when you divide by 2, I get x equals to 150. So you have to tag 150 more. Okay? And if I were you, plug in 150 there to check your answer. Okay? If you have time. So the top becomes 390 total male mets, and 500 plus 150 is 650. And just quickly check and see if it becomes the same ratio. So how do you convert it to fraction? You go to math, and you can press enter, enter. 0.6 is 3/5. Good. 35. The dynamic pressure Q generated by the fluid moving with velocity V can be found using the formula above. Where? So V is the velocity, N is the constant density of the fluid, and G is the dynamic pressure. Q is the dynamic pressure. And aeronautical engineer uses the formula to find the dynamic pressure of the fluid moving with the velocity V, and the same fluid moving with the velocity 1.5 V. What is the ratio of the dynamic pressure of the fast fluid to the dynamic pressure? So you divide this by that, the faster by that. So the velocity and the same fluid moving with the 1.5, so that is the faster velocity, right? So you plug it in 1.5 V, all the other things are the same. So this is the slower. Now what do? It is half of N times 1.5 V squared, which becomes 1.5 squared, 2.25 V squared. The other terms, half and N didn't change. So it must be what? 2.25 V squared over just V squared. So the radius 2.25. Basically, you just gotta square that. Okay? 36. In the figure above, the circle has center O and has radius of 10. Okay? If the length of arc AB is between 5 and 6, what is one possible integer value of x? Integer means the whole number. So let's say this was 5.5. Okay? And so how do you do this? X out of 360, the whole thing, times the whole perimeter or circumference is 2 pi r, and that equals to 5. Let's say 5. Let's go ahead and find x, and the radius we know is 10. So let me go ahead and put 10 there. So what do? You, from 5.5, multiply by 360, what it's in denominator, and divide by 2 pi times 10. So it's 220 pi, right? Oops, parentheses. So you get about 31.51. So x equals to 31.51. So would 31 or 32 work? I'm sure they will both work, but double check. Let's say we chose 31. So 31 divided by 360 times 2 pi r, which is 2 times 10 by 20. Would that between 5 to 6? Yes, it is. So 31 is acceptable. I'm sure 32 works too, but you don't have to check for the other one. You can just go ahead and pick one. All right, 37. What value should the analysis use for R? So the stock price of one share in the certain company is worth $360 today. A stock analyst believes the stock will lose 28% of each value each week. That means 1 minus lose 0.28, right? 28% is, you have to move 2 decimal to the left, so it's 0.28. So that gives you 0.72 is your R. Okay? If it was increased by 28, it will be 1 plus 0.28, 1.28, but it's going down, decreasing, losing. It will lose, so it goes down, so you subtract that percentage from 1. To the nearest dollar, what does the analyst believe the value of the stock will be at the end of 3 weeks? So first you have to make sure T is in weeks. Yes, so you do. So we are using the same rate. Was it 72 and 3. So 360 times 0.72, raise it to 3. You get? It says, nearest dollar, so round it down, it's 0.3, so it's $134.